What's up, guys? So in this video we're going to get everything set for our application design, so in that way when our data comes from the database it looks nice, pretty, and we're good to go. Now before we start, you're going to want to download the res file that I left down in the description of the video, and once you have that downloaded you want to put it onto your desktop and then just simply drag it into your favorite text editor, be it Sublime or Atom. And once you've done that, you can see I already have here, we'll be all set. So inside of this res folder, we are interested in the design folder and further layout and the activity main.xml. So just go ahead and take all this code here, copy it, and we will paste it into our activity main right here. So we're all set with that. Now, for the next thing, what we have to do is go to our folder, wherever you downloaded the res folder, go into the designs tab, and we want to copy all these files. We can Control C, and we're just going to paste them into res. We can just paste like that, hit OK, hit overwrite, overwrite for all. And also, we do need to get one more thing, or a couple more things, which is these 4 folders here. Paste it like that, and overwrite for all. Okay, so now we have all of our drawables that we need. We have our animations, everything except for the layout files, which we will be creating. So we're all set with that. Now, what we want to do is add a few dependencies to our libraries. So just go and open the build.gradle, and we're going to scroll down and back to our res. We are going to look at the app level build.gradle. Now what we're interested here is the support dependencies. So just go ahead and copy these, and we can just paste it right here. Now if the versions are different because you're watching this video in the future, then you're just going to want to make sure that they are updated correctly. So we can go ahead and sync. Okay. So now we need to get all the views, but there's so many views that we need, it's inefficient to do it by the standard way of r.findById. So we're going to use something called Butterknife to help us out. And we will simply just copy and paste those dependencies again to our res folder, and we are going to copy the Butterknife dependencies here. And back to our app, and we'll paste that there. Again, with the versions, you can find the current version online. This one is working right now. So after we sync, we have to go and say settings or file and then hit settings, because we also have to install it. We're going to look for plugins, and we can search the marketplace for Butterknife. And we want Android Butterknife Zelenzini, or however you say it. So I already have it installed, but just go ahead and install that and we'll be all set to go. Now the next thing to do is simply restart Android Studio. So I'm just going to exit out. Okay, so once Android Studio is back up and running, what we can do now is use Butterknife, and how we use Butterknife is simply highlighting activity main. We go to generate, and we see generate Butterknife injections, and we can just hit confirm on all these. So it's really convenient, and it gets all of our views that we need for us. Now the next thing to do is come down here, and we're gonna say set support action bar to the toolbar, and then we'll finally say get support action bar show title enable. And basically right now as it stands there will be 2 titles, but this will actually make it to only 1 title because we are simply not allowing one to show. So after this, let us go to the Android manifest.xml file, and we will change the theme right here to say custom theme. Okay, so now that that's done, let's go ahead and give the app a run and see if it works. Okay, so you can see that we have our main screen, we have our little search view here, and our post button along with our title. So let's continue on our application design journey. Next, what we want to do is write a little bit of code in the main activity. Okay, so now that we are done with this little bit of code, essentially what we're doing is just styling the bottom navigation menu, and so we'll go ahead and give this a run and see what it looks like. Okay, so now we see we have our bottom menu here. Pretty cool. Now, what we have to do is sometimes it will come up where the home button is way over to the left, these are over to the right, and you have to, when you cycle through them, they change positions. So if you don't want that to happen, what we have to do is go over here and create a new package. Oops. The package will be called util. And I would actually advise you might as well do this right now because later we're going to create more classes in this util package. But for now, we're just going to create another class and we're going to call it bottom navigation view helper. Okay, and for the code that we need in here, all we have to do is go back over to Atom and simply navigate to the res controllers and bottom navigation view helper and copy all this code here. We can paste it right here. Come back to our main activity and all we have to write right here is bottom navigation view helper dot remove shift mode. And this is basically just going to remove the ability of the app to shift over the icons when you click on them. I like it this way, but if you guys want it the other way, then that is fine too. So on to our next little bit of work here, we have to create fragments for each of these screens for our friends, notifications, and profile. So let's go and do that right now. We come up here and say new package, and we're going to call this package fragment. Inside of the fragment, we want to create 4 of them. So we're going to create newsfeed fragment, we will also create notification fragment, friends fragment, and finally profile fragment. Okay, now the code that we have to write in here is just a little bit, so I'm going to go ahead and fast forward it and explain in a second. Okay, so now that we've typed this code, we can see that we have extended the fragment right here by importing the Android X fragment app fragment. Right here, we created our context and initialized it here inside of the onAttach method that we overrode by right-click generate override, and we just hit the onAttach method. Further, we initialized our view right here in the overridden method on create view. However, we do see a little bit of red text right here, so we're going to have to create layout files for all of our fragments. So let's quickly do this. Go to our layout file and we'll hit new layout resource file. Call this fragment newsfeed. We also want to create fragment notification. Fragment friends. And the last one will be fragment profile. Okay, now the code that we need from these is going to be inside of our res folder. So let's go here to designs and visit the fragment friends. Just go ahead and give this a copy paste. Okay, we're done with fragment friends now. For fragment notification, give this a copy and paste again. We will do fragment newsfeed now. And last but not least, fragment profile. Okay, so now we're all set to go on our fragments. So what we have to do now is simply create the activity for our profile. And to do that, we are going to go here and say new activity, go to the gallery, select empty activity, and we're going to call this profile activity. Hit enter, and this is going to create right up for us. Now we have to look at the activity profile code right here, and we're going to change this, and this code can simply be found right here in activity profile. So also give this a copy and paste it into here. So now we are all set to go here. We got one thing to do though, which is our circle image view. This will probably pop up as red for you guys. So how we're going to fix that is to simply do an import for our Gradle, or make an implementation rather. We can visit our build.gradle file in Atom and look for circular image view. And we just copy this, revisit our build.gradle and module app, and just paste it here. We can hit sync. And we're all set to go. So let's now write some code in our main activity. So what we're going to do here is simply initialize all of our fragments, and then once our fragments are initialized, we're going to go ahead and create a switch statement so that when we select, well, the app's not running right now, but when we select the different pages, that we get moved to the different fragments. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Okay, so we created all of our variables right here, or instances of all of our fragments, and right here we simply initialize them. So the next little bit of code, we're going to create statements that will cycle us through all of the fragments. Okay, so basically what's happening here is that our screen has a bunch of menu items. It's the home button, the friends, notification, and profile button, and those are menu items. Each one of them has an ID, and so we're getting that ID, and when we select the case of newsfeed fragment, say, we can go into our bottom navigation main.xml and see the newsfeed fragment. So this has an ID and we know when it's clicked. So when it's clicked, we will simply display the newsfeed fragment. And likewise for all of these too. When the profile notification button is clicked, then we're displaying the notification fragment. Okay, so now we have a little bit more code to write because we have a error. We have to make this set fragment method. So let's quickly do that right now. Alright, so now that this method is done here, we see we have a couple red squiggly lines. That means that we need to add code to our object that we instantiated right here, or we have to add code to its class. So let's go and do that right now. With our newsfeed fragment that we already created, all we have to do is simply copy all this code and go to our notification fragment first and just simply paste it in here. Delete these off the bottom, and we have to actually change this r.layout.fragment newsfeed to r.layout.notification, or fragment notification, sorry. Now we can go to our friends fragment and repaste the code, and it will be fragment friends. We can delete these, and we're all set to go. Okay, so now we can test out if our fragments are working or not. And to do that, all we need to do is go to fragment notification.xml, and we can erase this Android visibility gone. We will give this a copy, and we can paste it into our newsfeed. Except we'll simply change the text to say newsfeed, and then further we can go into our friends and simply just erase the Android visibility gone from this text view. So now we should be all set, and let us look and see if everything's working fine. We'll give the app a run. And we see that this newsfeed fragment is working correctly. Our friends fragment, as we can see, what is the text that we have? This space looks empty, so this is working good. Our notifications, and our profile activity. However, we're not viewing the fragment right now. We are currently viewing the profile activity, like the actual activity. And that is because over in our main activity, instead of setting our fragment, we are starting the activity profile activity.class. We're saying .put extra because this is a user ID that needs to be carried over. We essentially need to know which user to display their profile. We can't just display any user, and we know that each user has its own ID. So now that this is all looking good here, let's go ahead and simply just retract these. We can hit Control Z, make sure this is visibility gone. We will just erase this. Go to our friends and Control Z this, so this is all good. Now we're set, and let us continue with the next part of this app, which will be to develop out our profile, because as we see here, when we're at our profile screen, we can scroll up on it, but the problem is that we can't scroll down. We need to be able to scroll down because when we're down in the newsfeed, we have to get back to the top. The only way we can do that is by dragging this back down from up top or clicking the toolbar. So if we want to change that, let's go to our profile activity. We can first get our butter knife injections by right-clicking generate butter knife injections, confirm on all those. Now we are just going to copy and paste this code here, which basically is just for hiding the status bar. That is what this is doing. We can go ahead and hit OK on that. And now what we have next is simply say support action bar, and this is going to say r.layout activity profile. Okay. Now what is this here? I believe that this is not going to say r.layout.activity profile. Sorry, this will say toolbar. Okay, now that we're all set with that, we need to say toolbar. And we are going to set the navigation icon to our drawable arrow, whatever we have right in this folder here. I think it's arrow back white. Yes, this is the one. Okay, so we're going to say navigation icon r.drawable dot arrow back white. Alright, perfect. And now we say toolbar dot set navigation on click listener. And inside of here, we're just going to say new.view on click listener. Oops. There we go. And now what's left is to create this, and we have to override the onClick. That is why it's giving us this error. So we can just say implement methods and implement the onClick. Oops. Alright, and inside of the onClick, all we need to do is start the main activity. And the package context will be the profile activity because that's where it's coming from. Hit Alt Enter on that and say this, and we're going to send back to the main activity dot class. Okay, so let's go ahead and give this app a run now. So we are at our home screen, and when we go to our profile, we get an error. So let's check out what this is for. Request feature must be called before adding content. So, okay, basically what's happening here is that we can't set the content view and the butter knife before the request window feature in the get window is called. So we actually have to put this underneath this code, and now it should work. So let's rerun this. Okay, and we go to our profile, and good, it works. So now we can see our title, and we have our back arrow, and there we go. The toolbar is hidden as well, so we're all good. Alright, so now on to the next part of the app. We are going to add some code to our profile fragment. Find it over here in the fragment. And basically we are just going to add the same thing that we have in these classes. So we can just copy it from the newsfeed fragment and hit this with a paste. However, we are going to change this to fragment profile. Alright, now that this is set, we can go ahead and go on over and create our profile adapter. So we're going to say new package, and we're going to call this profile page view adapter. No, that is what our class is going to be called. We are just simply going to call this adapter for now. Alright, so now let's make our new class. And the class that we're going to create is going to be called Profile View Pager Adapter. Now what this class is going to allow us to do is simply display our profile fragment inside of the profile activity. So we'll start this off by saying extends fragment pager adapter, and now we're going to have to implement a few methods which include getItem and getCount. So let's all enter here, hit OK on that. And we also need a constructor for our class, so let's create that as well. We can just hit Alt Enter and create a constructor with matching super. Now we don't need this non-null variable, but we are going to add a variable called size, and we will also initialize it down here, and we're going to have to create it in our class as well. So we will simply say int size equals 0. And inside of our get item, oh, oops, I meant to put this underneath the super. And inside of our get item fragment, or method, sorry, we are going to write this code here. Okay, so what we did here is basically just take our position, and if the case is 0, then we're going to create a new instance of the profile fragment, which will be displayed in our profile activity. I also said return size here, so don't forget that. And now for our last method, we're just going to copy and paste this code here. Okay, and this code is just getting our page title for us. Now we're all set with this class, and we can go ahead and move on to our profile activity where we have to create an instance of our profile view pager adapter, which we just created. Okay, and we will simply assign it right here. get support fragment manager, and we'll give that a size of 1. So basically we are passing in get support fragment manager into our constructor right here, which is of type fragment manager, and then our size will be 1, which we're passing in right here. Now we have one last thing left to add down at the bottom here. View pager profile dot set adapter, and we are going to set our adapter as the profile pager adapter. Now let's go ahead and head over to our fragment profile.xml just to make sure that all this code that we just wrote is going to work. So inside of our fragment profile.xml, we are going to add this text view here, and it's just simply going to say we will load post here. So if everything goes well, we're going to run the app. This will appear underneath our profile picture. Now we might have to write visibility gone on our recycler view in order to see this text view, but we'll find out right now. Click on profile, and it looks like we are good to go. We will load posts here. So this is where our posts are going to go, and we are all set with creating our UI design. So that will be the end of this video, and we will see you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe and like for more videos, and thank you for watching.